Hi, everyone. This is Mike McDonald with Tamaron Consulting. Tamaron is the consulting firm that has been working with the NBWA on the Beer First initiative and helping develop tools and resources for distributors across the country to use with on and off-premise retailers promoting the beer category ahead of wine and spirits. With me today, I have Eric Riggs from Crescent Crown. Eric is the Senior Director of Category Management over both Crescent Crown, Arizona, and Louisiana. And Eric has been a member of the Beer First Committee for the past 5 or 6 years, helping provide insights and recommendations for our tools and helping inform our tools for related to category management within the Beer First toolkit. At one of the recent Beer First meetings, Eric brought up the opportunity to develop a off-premise category review template and centered on Beer First and to be used with off-premise retailers in your market. Now that you've just gone through the Beer First learning module and the category review template, which has a ton of great information and data promoting the beer category, the reason for our Q&A session with Eric is to give you some context around this tool, including when to use it, with which retailers, how often, and what are some of the key insights from Eric in terms of how to deliver this to a retailer. So with that, I will bring in Eric and tee up the first question here, which is, why is it important, Eric, to conduct a beer or total beverage alcohol category review with key retailers?
Well, thanks for having me, Mike. It's my pleasure. So it's important to have a category review with your retailers to ensure that you're aligned on your growth strategy, to identify performance gaps, both within your portfolio, but more importantly, within the customer's portfolio, and uncovering opportunities to help optimize their assortment, their pricing, and their promotions. And it really helps strengthen that partnership by using data-driven insights to improve profitability for both sides.
And Eric, how often should a business review like this take place with a key retailer?
A really deep dive category review with a retailer should be done annually at a minimum. Really, quarterly is a great practice because it allows you to have a good check-in, monitoring the trends and adjusting the plans throughout the year. It really helps keep the strategies relevant, and as consumer behaviors change, and they change a lot, helps us stay on track and make sure that we're meeting the customer where they are.
What advice would you give to distributors in terms of which retailers to conduct this type of high-level review with?
You really want to focus on those retailers that have a significant category share, a strategic importance to not only your business, but also to the market, and quite frankly, their willingness to collaborate. You want to prioritize those accounts where joint planning can really drive an impact on both the distributor, supplier, and retailer side, and those that actually have strong execution capabilities and good growth potential.
Perfect. Now, looking at the category review template that we have in front of us and thinking about some of the Beer First tools and some of the other tools that are out there that you use, where do you find some of the data to help input into, a template like this?
Well, Mike, I know you're going to do a separate video that walks folks through how to go and get the graphs from the customizable sell sheets to bring into. But NBWA Beer First, we've been publishing these sell sheets, for the last 5 or 6 years, as Mike said earlier, and they're free to anyone in the industry to use. And so they're really a great starting point. But what I find is when you get into more localized data, like say I'm based in Phoenix, Arizona, you really want to try to leverage those larger suppliers where you can, those that are data rich, have some category management capabilities, to bring in some additional Nielsen information or Circana. Numerator's another great source of information to blend together with the Beer First tools and the templates and really help tell that story that you're trying to get done.
Perfect. So yeah, good. It's a combination of some of the Beer First tools and the data that we have available through the custom charts, custom chart creator, which, as you said, I'll be developing a short video on how to access those along with key suppliers to help inform some of the data. So perfect. So shifting into, kind of giving the pitch itself, if you will, to the retailer, how do you balance supplier priorities with promoting a true category perspective to the retailer?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. Because as distributors, we definitely have supplier priorities. But we also, in the chain world, we really have to look at what's going on in the retailer and what's going on with the shopper, the consumer. The supplier priorities definitely do matter, but we really should be able to tie those back to a broader category growth plan. When you lead with the data, what's driving the trips, what's filling the baskets, the loyalty that some of these brands bring, you can really position those supplier initiatives as solutions to category opportunities that you identify throughout your category review.
Eric, one of the reasons why the Beer First initiative was developed was to arm sales reps, supervisors, category experts with information that they could use with retailers and help elevate them from more of a sales rep or supervisor role to more of a trusted advisor relationship with their key retailers. Can you talk about how these tools can be used to develop that trusted advisor relationship?
Sure. What I think those tools do more than anything is they really bring structure and credibility to a sales call or a category review. Because instead of just selling cases or trying to just get beer on the floor, whatever beer it is, you're actually showing insights, category performance, shopper behavior, and some real actionable recommendations. And that really takes the conversations from what do you need today to here's how we grow your category and your profitability.
Now, diving a little bit deeper into some of the data on this particular chart, in your opinion, what are some of the metrics or visuals that you consider non-negotiable when building out a template like this?
Well, for sure, on the retailer side, we definitely focus more speaking on dollars. On the distributor side, we get really myopic on case volume trends and all of that, and that's all very important. But with the retailer, you can't take cases to the bank, you take dollars to the bank. So you want to focus on the trends on both dollars and cases with an emphasis on dollars. Share shifts between segments or within beverage alcohol segments or within segments within the beer category. And just key segment performance those are all must-haves in a category review. Bringing in graphs, schematics of a shelf, if you're trying to pitch an assortment or maybe a look for the shelf, or possibly if there's a display, a 3D picture of the display or what you think it looks like, some lift charts to kind of help make that story clear. Because I've always found that if the retailer can't see the opportunity, a lot of times they don't act on it.
Now, you just touched on a lot of great points as, helping inform, how to conduct an effective category business review. But what is one piece of advice that you would give somebody, to conduct a more effective category review?
I go back to leading with insights, not your inventory, not just what you have to sell. You really want to talk to the retailer in their terminology, showing the retailer how the category can grow and how your recommendations can help make that happen. Because if they see you as a trusted business partner for their growth, your brands will follow in those trends.
And finally, Eric, can you tell us, when you're putting together a business review template like this, what is your thought process in terms of how you're structuring the data and the story behind this?
So I've always looked at the category from a macro to micro view, and I like to explain that to analysts that I bring on, and I try to coach and train and teach to kind of think of the category as a funnel, right? And we start at the top, we pour the stuff in at the top of the funnel, and it works its way to the bottom. So always start with the widest piece, which typically you want to talk about what's going on in the market. And within those Beer First tools, there are in the customizable piece where you can pull different markets or areas or channels. So if you're talking to someone in grocery, you want to talk about how the convenience channel is doing in that competitive set, how's mass doing, liquor, so forth and so on. And once you move past that, I really try to then take it to within beverage alcohol, beer, wine, spirits, and today we have RTDs as well. Typically, beer is the largest segment, so you definitely want to make that point. And once you've made the point of what's going on in competition, how the segments are performing, And then we get to establishing the size and scale of beer and the importance to their overall sales and revenue. Then you really want to kind of dive into the category and take it from largest segment to smallest. I mean, you just want to start with what's the most important, what's going to make the biggest impact, and also what's coming up, what's growing, what's showing the largest trends. Like say non-alc beer, still a very small piece of the category, but it's the fastest growing thing, and it continues to grow share and become a bigger piece of sales. So once you get to that piece, as you go through that, you're going to start identifying opportunities, right? And you're going to go into it. You start with the end in mind. You know what it is you're trying to get done. As you go through the category review, you will find things. I guarantee you're going to find things that you weren't expecting to address, but you always need to address them, especially if they're obvious opportunities. And as you go through it and you get to the end and you have identified the opportunities and you summarize it back, when you come to the recommendations that are going to address those opportunities, they all make sense. Like I always like to use the example, there's no good to talk about an entire category review focused on imports, and then your recommendation is to put up a Keystone or a Busch display. It kind of leaves the buyer scratching their head and looks like you're not really in it for the retailer's benefit. So that's how I look at it and try to tie it up with a neat bow at the end. And, hopefully it was successful.
Excellent. Well, Eric, thank you for your work on the Beer First Committee over the past 5 or 6 years. And thank you for your time today explaining how to conduct an effective category business review with key accounts.
Of course, Mike, thank you very much.